Hello everyone. So in this video, we will be seeing an important aspect of inverse trigonometric function, as in a little trivial type of question which everybody faces a problem about. So I will be basically talking about questions like this. Suppose we have been asked to find the principal value of sin inverse sin 10, or we have been asked to find the principal value of cos inverse cos 12. So these questions cannot be approached with the usual technique which we have learned of finding the principal values. So for this, we need to understand a little separate concept, which is in complete harmony with the whatever concept we have understood in class 11 and the beginning of class 12 as well. So what I'll do first, I will explain you the quadrant rule in terms of a different approach. As in, I have drawn a quadrant as in the coordinate system here. This is the positive x-axis and this is the x dash or negative x-axis. हम क्या करेंगे, इनको एक नए नाम से जानेंगे. Positive x-axis को I will call it as even multiple of pi, and negative x-axis को we will call it as odd multiple of pi. So specifically for taking care of such questions, इन क्वेश्चंस को समझने के लिए, ऐसे टाइप के क्वेश्चंस को समझने के लिए हम एक कॉन्सेप्ट सीख रहे हैं, एंड जिसमें हमने राइट हैंड साइड के एक्स एक्सिस को कहा इवन मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई एंड लेफ्ट हैंड साइड के एक्स एक्सिस को कहा ऑड मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई. सो अगर हम इवन मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई से प्लस थीटा करते हैं, सो वी आर गेटिंग इनटू द फर्स्ट क्वाड्रेंट. सो हम लिख सकते हैं फर्स्ट क्वाड्रेंट को एज इवन मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई प्लस थीटा. सो फर्स्ट क्वाड्रेंट का मतलब है even multiple of pi plus theta. Similarly, if you are subtracting theta from the even multiple of pi, we will be landing onto the fourth quadrant. So fourth quadrant, we can write it like this: even multiple of pi minus theta. Similarly, if we talk about the odd multiple, अगर odd multiple of pi में हम minus theta करेंगे, तब हमारे पास second quadrant आएगा. So it is basically odd multiple minus theta, that is the second quadrant. And if it is odd multiple plus theta, it is the third quadrant. Or about the quadrant, we very well know that first quadrant is for all the trigonometric ratios. As in, all trigonometric ratios will be positive in the first quadrant. The second quadrant is for sine and cosec alone. Third quadrant is for tan and cot alone. And fourth quadrant is for cos and sec alone. So ये अपने अपने respective quadrant में जो positive वाली बातें हमने class 11 में सीखी थी under the topic quadrant rule, this still holds good. But so far we have just understood one unique and one new concept कि हम first quadrant को even multiple of pi plus theta बोल सकते हैं, and fourth quadrant को even multiple of pi minus theta बोल सकते हैं. And similarly, odd multiple of pi minus theta का मतलब second quadrant, and if it is odd multiple of pi plus theta, it is third quadrant. What is the use या हम क्या application देखने वाले हैं? So if we get this four angles, मैं 3-4 examples आपको समझाऊं. For example, we have a certain angle like this: 19 pi plus theta, another is 9 pi plus theta, another is 2 pi plus theta, another is 6 pi minus theta. इन फोर्थ क्वाड्रेंट को जस्ट देख करके कंपेयर करके हम बोल सकते हैं ये कौन से क्वाड्रेंट को बिलोंग करेंगे. द फर्स्ट केस इज द केस ऑफ ऑड मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई प्लस थीटा. If it is odd multiple of pi plus theta, it belongs to the third quadrant. So this is the significance of this, understanding this. Similarly, if it is 9 pi minus theta, once again we have odd pi minus theta. Now, if it is odd multiple of pi minus theta, it belongs to the second quadrant. 2 pi plus theta, it is even multiple plus theta. If it is even multiple plus theta, it belongs to the first quadrant. And it is even multiple minus theta, it belongs to the fourth quadrant. So that is an aspect to understand from this diagram, that we will be able to understand the quadrant of the angle just by formulating into the formula n pi plus minus theta. If n is an odd number, so either second या third quadrant होगा, और n is an even number, तो first या fourth quadrant होगा. So having said this, we will add one more point here, and that will be a kind of star mark point, that if any angle is expressed in the form of n pi plus or minus theta, where n belongs to integer, then trigonometric ratio does not change. Then the trigonometric ratio does not change. आज हमने क्लास 11 में सीखा है कि n का वैल्यू अगर ऑड होता है या n का वैल्यू अगर इवन होता है, n के वैल्यू ऑड पे ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक रेशियो चेंज हो जाता है और n के वैल्यू इवन पे ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक रेशियो रिटेन हो जाता है। साइन का साइन होता है, कॉस का कॉस रह जाता है, टैन का टैन हो जाता है इन केस ऑफ रिटेंशन। और जब चेंज होना होता है, साइन का कॉस हो जाएगा, कॉस का साइन, टैन का कॉट, कॉट का टैन, सेक का कोसेक, कोसेक का सेक। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे हमने कहा अगर फॉर्मेट n पाई प्लस माइनस थीटा है तब ये हमेशा डज नॉट चेंज, it will always retain, as in however big the ratio can be. Example, if I say it is sine 20 pi minus theta, you don't have to analyze anything, it will remain sine theta. Now angle will be positive or negative, that we can judge. 20 pi minus theta is what? It is even multiple minus theta, and if it is even multiple minus theta, it belongs to the fourth quadrant. In fourth quadrant, sine is negative. Similarly, if the angle is cos pi plus theta, so cos pi plus theta, once again the format is pi plus theta, that is n pi plus minus theta. So ये cos का cos ही रह जाएगा. Now pi plus theta is basically 1 pi plus theta, which is odd multiple of pi plus theta. And if it is odd multiple of pi plus theta, it belongs to the third quadrant, and in third quadrant cos will be negative. So this way we can understand this particular logic. Now, if we understand the principal value table, as in the inverse trigonometric ratio on the first column, then the range in terms of pi in the second column, and range in terms of numbers in the third column. We will just see it for three trigonometric ratios, the primary one. So column number 1 is basically the trigono, as in we can write inverse trigonometric ratio कौन सा ले रहे हैं हम. Then this is range in terms of pi, and this is range in terms of value. So if it is sin inverse x, we know the range is from minus pi by 2 से लेकर के plus pi by 2 तक. If we substitute the value of pi as in minus 3.14 by 2 से लेकर के 3.14 by 2 तक. So if we actually calculate, the range is minus 1.57 से लेकर के plus 1.57 तक. That is the range for sin inverse. Similarly, for cos inverse x, the actual range is 0 से लेकर के pi तक. We can make it as 0 से लेकर के 3.14 तक. And for tan inverse, the range is open bracket minus pi by 2 से pi by 2 तक, जिसको हम लिख सकते हैं open bracket minus 1.57 से plus 1.57 तक. As in, the questions of this format, this category के questions हैं, इनके लिए जो वैल्यू हमें कंसिडर करनी है, these are the values we need to take care of. If it is for sine inverse, we will be considering minus 1.57 to 1.57. If it is cos inverse, it will be in between 0 to 3.14. And if it is tan inverse, it will be in between minus 1.57 to plus 1.57. Having said that, we'll now understand how do we actually take care of such problems. As in the problem number 1, sin inverse sin 10. So the basic tendency for first question, sin inverse sin 10, we will consider the first question only now. So we're talking about sin inverse sin 10. So यहाँ पे basic tendency क्या है? That this sin inverse and sin will definitely get cancelled, and the answer is coming out to be 10. The question which we ask to ourselves is that whether this 10 is acceptable answer or not. So we can definitely write that 10 cannot be accepted, as 10 does not belong to the range of sin inverse. The range of sin inverse is from negative minus 1.57 to positive minus 1.57. So definitely the answer cannot be 10. So what are the things allowed? Always remember, for such kind of angles, the only modification allowed is either we can make it pi minus theta, or we can make it 2 pi minus theta, we can make it 3 pi minus theta, 4 pi minus theta, and so on. But we have to understand one thing, that we always need to take the nearest value as in which will fit the given range. So definitely 10 is not the answer here. And why 10 is not the answer, we have understood that it is not fitting into the range of sin inverse, which is negative 1.57 to positive 1.57. So what we did, we are trying to modify this 10. So if we write it as pi minus 10, or the second option is 2 pi minus 10, third option is 3 pi minus 10, fourth option is 4 pi minus 10. So we shall see which option is giving us the required answer, as in the answer which we are expecting, that answer we are getting from which one of the modification. So we just usually try to evaluate each one of this. Pi minus 10 का मतलब क्या है? 3.14 minus 10. What value this will give us? This will give us minus 6. Let us say 86. And once again, minus 6.86 is outside the range. We will not consider this. If we take it 2 into 3.14 minus 10, it becomes 6.28 minus 10, and this will give us minus 3.72. And once again, this is also outside the range, so we will not accept it. We tried 3 pi minus 10, so it is 3 into 3.14 minus 10. Answer is 9.42 minus 10, and that answer will be minus 0.58. This minus 0.58 happens to be inside the range of minus 1.57 to plus 1.57. That is why we don't have to check for 4 by minus 10, and all these initial values which are not being a part of the solution, they can be deleted now. So what we understood, that we need to change this 10 in terms of 3 pi minus 10. So हमने क्या लिखा? This is sine inverse. This is sine, and instead of 10, I can write it as 3 pi minus 10. But writing is not just the task getting over. We need to understand, we need to analyze and check the quadrant it belongs to. Whether sign will take positive sign or sign will take negative sign there. So हमने सबसे पहले क्या किया? This is 3 pi minus 10. So सबसे पहले हमने क्या चेक किया? 3 pi minus 10 के लिए हमने चेक किया whether sign will retain or sign will change. So if it is a format n pi plus minus theta, just now in the star mark we have mentioned this point. As we can see, if any angle is expressed in the form of n pi plus minus theta, trigonometric ratio does not change. So ये n pi plus minus theta के form में है, मतलब it will be a retention, as in sign will remain sign. This sign remains as sign. So we are in complete harmony with the process. And next we need to change the angle. The कौन से quadrant को belong कर रहा है? 3 pi minus 10. So 3 pi minus 10 is basically what? It is odd multiple of pi minus theta. And if you recall the initial chart we discussed, odd multiple minus theta belongs to which quadrant? It belongs to odd multiple minus theta. It belongs to the second quadrant. And in second quadrant, our sign is positive. So no problem at all. So what happens? The checking part is done. And now we are in a position to nullify this sine inverse and sine. Our final answer will be 3 pi minus 10 to this question. And we can keep the answer as such. So now the second question, find the principal value of cos inverse cos 12. और यहाँ पे फिर से हम देख पा रहे हैं कि पहला जो हमारा ऑब्जर्वेशन है, we want to cancel this cos inverse and cos, but answer which is coming out is 12. It should belong to the range of 0 से लेकर के 3.14. Few minutes back we seen that cos inverse का क्या range है, so it is 0 से लेकर के 3.14. 12 is outside the range. We can write 12 does not belong to this range. So definitely the answer cannot be 12. We need to modify the angle, and for modification, what are the things allowed to us? We will first try with pi minus 12, or 2 pi minus 12, or 3 pi minus 12, or 4 pi minus 12, and so on. But once again, if we analyze, pi minus 12 is just like 3.14 minus 12. It will give us some negative value, which is not acceptable. As just now we saw, cos का range क्या है? Positive. From 0 से लेकर के 3.14, all the values are positive. We cannot take the negative answer. Even for 2 pi minus 12, it is 2 into 3.14 minus 12, which is a negative answer, cannot be accepted. 3 into 3.14 minus 12, once again, we will get some number of negative magnitude, cannot be accepted. But if it is 4 into 3.14 minus 12, I think now we are in a position to get a negative, non-negative number. As in, this will give us 12.56 minus 12, that is 0.56, a positive number which is in the range, and that is why this will be accepted. So we understood one thing, that our 12 is going to get modified into this format, 4 pi minus 12. So that is the first step. We wrote cos inverse, and here we are writing cos 4 pi minus 12. Now having written this, we need to check two things. First, whether the trigonometric ratio is getting retained or not, and second, whether this angle belongs to which quadrant, fourth quadrant or not. Because we want to be in the fourth quadrant, then only cos can be positive. So सबसे पहले हम retention वाला factor check करेंगे. It is n pi minus 12. So we said n pi plus minus theta का कोई भी format हो, it will retain, as in ऊपर का cos और नीचे का cos ये same है, no problem at all. And it is what? It is even multiple of pi. This is even multiple of pi minus theta. And it is even multiple of pi minus theta. It belongs to the fourth quadrant, and fourth quadrant cos is positive. So no problem at all. So this was 4 pi. Now this cos inverse and cos vanishes. Our answer is 4 pi minus 12. The principal value of the given question, cos inverse cos 12, it is 4 pi minus 12. Same logic if we apply for the third question. Once again, answer cannot be 5. So we can write it is not equal to 5, as 5 does not belong to the range of minus 1.57, say plus 1.57. We need to modify the 5s, and for that, what we are the tools available to us. It can be pi minus 5, 2 pi minus 5. I checked with pi minus 5. This is 3.14 minus 5. It will give us a value which is negative 1.86, which is outside the range. And if it is 2 pi minus 5, this will give me 6.28 minus 5. This will be minus 1.28. It is inside the range. Because our range is minus 1.57. On the left hand side, we're allowed till minus 1.57. And this minus 1.86 was going beyond the left hand side range. So एक possibility है कि हमने क्या किया, इस sin inverse को बाहर रखा, sin 5 को हमने किया sin 2 pi minus 5. Now two things we need to check. Point number 1, it is n pi plus minus theta format, yes or no? It is yes, and that is why the trigonometric ratio is retained, as in sine and sine, they are in complete harmony. What is the quadrant? It is even multiple minus theta, just like the previous one. If it is even multiple minus theta, it belongs to the fourth quadrant. And in fourth quadrant, sine is negative. So if it is negative, we will put a negative sign in front of this. That is the thing you need to understand. Having said that, this sine inverse, this sine, and what we are doing, we are shifting this negative angle inside, because this property also we know, sine of minus theta is equals to minus sine theta. That is what we are doing here. So if we shift it inside, it becomes minus of 2 pi minus 5. Now this sine inverse sine vanishes. We have minus of 2 pi minus 5. Answer is 5 minus 2 pi. This is the answer for your third question. So another case we have principal value of tan inverse tan 12. Same process. If we see the answer generally coming out is 12, but we cannot accept this answer as it do not belong to the open interval negative 1.57 to positive interval 1.57, जो कि tan inverse का range है in terms of numbers. So once again we need to modify. So 12 को हम modification के लिए pi minus 12, 2 pi minus 12, 3 pi minus 12, and 4 pi minus 12, and eventually we get to see this will work out. So हमने क्या लिखा? This is tan inverse. This is tan 4 pi minus 12. Now same thing, we need to check two things here. First, we need to check whether the angle is of the format n pi plus minus theta or not. So tan is tan. This is retaining factor and it is correct. And second, the angle. So it is even multiple minus theta. So if it is even multiple minus theta, it belongs to the fourth quadrant. And in fourth quadrant, tan is going to be negative. And that is why we have put a negative sign in front of the tan in the second step. Now, same logic, we need to adjust this minus sign with the angle. So it becomes tan of minus 4 pi minus 12. Once again, the same property. We know tan of minus theta is equals to minus tan theta. Now this tan inverse and tan vanishes. We have the answer as minus of 4 pi minus 12. That will give us 12 minus 4 pi as the required answer. Now lastly, number 5, sine inverse sine 12. Same process. If we modify, this will give us sine of 4 pi minus 12. And to check the two factors here, this is n pi plus minus theta. So this is a retaining factor, and we have already retained sine with sine. And this is even multiple, once again the same, even multiple minus theta. This is the fourth quadrant, not for sine, as in sine will be negative here. So we have put a negative sign there. Having said that, what we will do, we will adjust the negative sign with the angle. So this is sine inverse sine negative of 4 pi minus 12. Now this outside sine inverse and sine vanishes or nullifies. We have minus of 4 pi minus 12. That is 12 minus 4 pi as the answer. So this was the content of this topic. Thank you.